All righty. Hello, Maxine. How are you doing today?
Hi, I'm doing well. How are you?
Awesome. I'm well as well. Thank you for asking. So when I have a new person on the podcast, I always ask them this question, and it is, what aspect of Christ's character has been most evident in your life?
Wow, great question. What aspect of Christ has been most evident in my life? Okay. I feel like Christ has always been a constant for me as a provider, as a waymaker, um, from even like my mom's own walk of faith up to like me being raised in a Christian household and discovering my own faith journey on my own. Yeah, God has always provided for me and my family in such amazing ways, and I'm really thankful to just reap all the blessings of what has been my life. I'm just really grateful.
That's awesome. So that just made me wonder, because you said, basically making your faith your own. Have you always lived in New York?
No, I haven't. I'm actually from the South. I moved here after college. Well, I went to college upstate and moved to here after I work in journalism and media, so this was the place to be. But yeah, as far as my own personal faith, it wasn't until college that I kind of learned to be a Christian on my own, outside of like the confines of going to church with my family and like praying before dinner and stuff. Like, it was just like a habit of Christianity versus like I chose this, especially because I grew
Yeah.
up in the faith. But yeah, and college was difficult socially, mentally, spiritually, and I came to God on my own, like finding my own church home, finding my own Christian community and friends, and discovering God on my own versus what I already knew, being taught that from family and my upbringing. So that's what I hinted at.
Yeah, and I also wonder like what it's been like. I mean, I grew up in New York. I moved from New York when I was in like the sixth grade, and I go back often. But just moving from the South and moving to New York, and then discovering your faith. What's it been like? I guess being a Christian in that environment.
It's definitely different, like there's not as many Christians here. You really have to search for that community, whereas in the South, it's like there's a church on every corner. Also, it's kind of a constant
Mm-hmm.
that everyone goes to church already. So you don't even have to like wonder if someone's Christian. It's like everyone's Christian. It's like, how do they practice their Christianity in the South versus here? It's like, no, they're not Christian. Like, don't assume that because they're probably not. But I feel really
Mm-hmm.
lucky in that when I moved here shortly after one of my really close friends, Destiny, and we were both really adamant on finding a church home quickly. So I was able to find my current church home, Bridge Church in Brooklyn, New York. And since then, I've always had a Christian community and friendship in that. So I didn't go through like such hardship because we were always seeking out Christian community. It wasn't like I moved here, struggled, and then kind of had to stumble into it, like I was intentional
Okay.
about making sure I had Christian community. And then it's okay to not have Christian friends, for me at least, So I have friends that don't believe or they believe in other things. And that's what it is in New York. And that's okay. Like, as long
Mm-hmm.
as I know what I believe in, and when I go home at night, I accept that. That's fine. No one outside of me is gonna define what I believe. You really have to be
Hold it.
firm in that.
Amen.
Yes, you got to be firm in that in a city like this, though.
For sure.
Because there's so many ways to like veer off path or discover something else when you're not solid in what you
Mm-hmm.
already know.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, Jesus hung out with anybody. You know what I'm saying? So, what can we? We're definitely allowed to have friends that are outside of Christianity. So, I definitely agree with that.
Yeah, I get that all the
Um,
time, even as like people who know me realizing I'm Christian are like, oh, like you're Christian, you're not like what I expect. And I'm like, who do you
Mm-hmm.
imagine, like Virgin Mary or something? Like Christians are just like everybody else. They just pray to God, just like whatever you believe
Mm-hmm.
in. We're all
Yeah.
unique people, you know. So I really like being that for people though, because I know a lot of people here also have negative assumptions about Christians and like judgment and the rigidity of religion in general, not even Christianity, just any religion. So I
Yeah.
like to be that person to be open about where I go to church, what I do on Sundays, what I do outside of Sundays, and how I'm involved at my church and still have a normal life, you know?
Yeah, yeah, I completely feel that. Because I'm in the South now, we like switch places. I went to a Christian university. I was even talking to a Christian at one point, and she was saying like, I don't know, like you just make Christianity seem so cool, and I'm like, we just can be normal people and love Jesus. Like it doesn't have to be like that
Hmm.
wild that people, you know how some people can be. So awesome. That was not intended to be a conversation, but here it
Hmm.
is. But in addition to that, can you tell the people a little more about you and what you do?
Yeah, so I currently live in New York City. I work as a news producer at Now This News. So I work in digital media, sponsored, branded content, that sort of thing. And outside of that,
Okay.
I run a business called We Met in Real Life. I do
You sure do.
dating events. Yes, I do. I do dating events for, well, with people of color in mind. And I started in February and have been doing it ever since. It's currently July of the year I founded my business, and I'm really excited to continue to grow and learn in this world of event planning and bringing people together, carving out community. Um, yeah, that's me.
Yeah, sounds good to me. I'm so excited. Everybody that has heard this today, go and do it. And we'll talk about where you can find her at the end. But I literally love this. One of my friends actually sent me your TikTok, and I was like, I need to speak to her immediately. So yes, awesome. Now, how has your success been with it? I know you've got some like accolades early on, so talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, it's been honestly really amazing and overwhelming the attention I got as soon as I started. After my first event, I posted a video recap on TikTok, and that video went super, super viral. It reached people all across the world. And it really blew
Cool.
up like my Instagram and TikTok page. And I've had other viral videos since that one. So it's been like a constant flow of people reaching out to me. I was in the New York Times like right after my
You
first
sure
event.
were.
So that
So
was
cool.
pretty
So cool.
unreal. And that was like right around my birthday too. So that was awesome.
Cool.
And yeah, recently I did my first Christian dating event in collaboration with my church and two others in New York City. And that was a major success. So I'm just keeping up the momentum, continuing to grow and learn new things again. Like I'm new to this. It was an idea and I acted on it, you know. That's how everything starts.
Yeah. Yeah. So what kind of inspired that for you to do this whole thing?
Yeah, so I actually went to a dating event last fall, like around November, and I brought one of my friends from church with me, like, and on the flyer, it was like all white people in the picture.
Hmm.
And, but I
Hmm.
kept getting ads for it, and I was like, this is cool. Like, this is like in the movies. I just want to go. Like, I'm probably not going to meet the love of my life, but I think that's such a cool concept. And, you know, like, this is like peak pandemic. I'm not trying to be on dating apps. All my friends
Yeah.
agreed. So when I saw this, I was like, this is so cool. Like, even if it's not diverse, we can be the diversity and we'll go. Um, and so we went and it wasn't diverse at all.
Mm,
And it also didn't feel that intentional. It was by a larger company that does these events, kind of like a machine. Like, I think they do them every week or even more often than that.
oh,
And they do more or other like community events in New York City. So um, leaving the event, I felt like there was a void in it. Number one being like attracting diverse people from diverse backgrounds, and number two, like making it fun, making it intentional, and not just sit down, you're gonna do speed dating for an hour and then leave, like, you know?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so I came up with the idea also from my friends who were like, dang, I would go, but this looks really white. I'm not trying to do that. Like, this doesn't look like it's for me,
Mm-hmm.
you know? And I searched on Eventbrite, and there's like dozens of speed dating or mixers where it's all white people on the pictures, and it's kind of like they're unintentionally segregating their events by having images of a certain audience, you know? So
Mm-hmm.
shortly after that, I just decided to try to do it on my own. And I reached out to my network of friends and friends of friends and saw if people would actually attend. And after my first event and after going viral, I figured, like, yeah, this is something I should keep doing.
Yeah, yeah. So cool. So how do you feel like your original vision for the mixers like matched what came to fruition, or has anything been different?
Yeah, it was honestly, I've never had an experience like that where, you know, like you might have an idea and you think it's genius, but then you like wake up the next day and you're like, that's Facebook or something, you know, like someone already did it. That's not a genius
Yeah,
idea. But
yeah.
in my case, I acted on it and really realized like no one else was doing this. And my events are unique in a bunch of different ways that I've personalized it. And running my first event and seeing like the reaction from people, especially the guys who were more hesitant and were like, this was actually fun. This was not what I expected at all. And I was like,
Cool.
I know, like I put a lot of thought into this. Hello. Especially because I had already went to an event and I was like, there's definitely ways to grow and make this cooler. So yeah, it's been like almost exactly what I imagined.
Oh, cool. Awesome. That's like doesn't always happen that way.
I know, yeah. I mean,
So good for
there's
you.
been some hurdles, but it's definitely been
Yeah,
like everything I pictured.
that's awesome. I'm glad to hear that for you.
Thank you.
So, we already talked about like you having POC in mind. Um, what other things do you feel like singles events were missing that made you want to create your own?
What else were they missing? I think the biggest thing they were missing is that like cool factor, like to make it seem like something more than just like a random event with like an ugly flyer, ugly fonts. You know what I mean? Like, because the
Yeah,
other
yeah.
stuff I saw, I thought it was for older people too, just from the design. Like, because I'm
Mm,
26 and when I look at party flyers for my age range, they look so cool. Like, I click on it, like, oh my gosh, how did they even design this? Like, I have to go. Where is it?
mm-hmm.
You know? I feel like that was missing. And also, just in general, I feel like more events like this need to happen because, like, we're in this digital age. Everyone's used to dating apps, meeting people. There's no like clear space for relationship building to happen, community developing to happen. Obviously, like there's
Mm-hmm.
church, and then we have like clubs and parties for having fun. Then we have networking
Mm-hmm.
events for career networking, but there's nothing really in
Mm-hmm.
between for that socializing with the potential to date or become friends or whatever happens, you know, outside of dating apps. It doesn't happen like my parents in the 90s where like someone approaches someone else, you hit it off, and you literally get married. Like that does not happen
Yeah, it was
anymore.
so different then.
Yeah, you have to put a lot more work into it nowadays. And like I say for my events, even if you don't meet the love of your life, like that's totally fine. I think it's important to have spaces where you're meeting people outside of your network, outside of the main like
Mm-hmm.
clubs or whatever it is you go to all the time. I'm attracting a wider audience of people from all over who you probably haven't met. And I want you to meet in real life, not online,
Yeah.
not somewhere else.
Mm-hmm.
And if you do meet the love of your life, you can say we met in real life. Like, Easy.
Ah, I like that. I like the plug you did there. Um, um, yeah, I've definitely gone on strike from the dating apps. I'm on strike right now. It's just like so bad on there, you know? And I never want to get on there again. And I've decided like if I'm gonna miss him because I'm not on dating apps, so be it. Like that's how over it I am right now.
Yeah,
So that's why I
absolutely.
love events like this. hmm So I the last one I went to, I did go to a singles. I don't know if I called a mixer, but it was a singles event that someone was putting on in this area. Um, I would not have gone if my friend didn't encourage me to, because I knew I wouldn't find him there, and I didn't.
Hmm.
But I thought, you know what, I'm gonna try show the Lord that I actually, faith without works is dead. So I'm working with my faith. And I went, and it was like mostly people that are maybe like in their 40s and 50s,
Hmm.
not POC. They didn't really do it well, where it's like everyone knows where they should be, and like the
Hmm.
games made sense. They did a kind of thing where it's like we just did like how they will do like the bingo thing where you just kind of find people that have
Hmm.
similar or like has a red shirt on or something. So we did that for like the first half. Didn't really cultivate really conversation. People were just kind of competing. And then that was over. We went downstairs and then someone talked for a little bit. Then we worshiped at the end. And that was literally it.
Yeah.
So I think the worship was great.
Yeah.
Great idea. But it just felt like you could have just been someone in the crowd and like never talked to anybody.
Hmm.
If you wanted to, or even if you want to talk to someone, it wasn't like intimate. So, um, how do you feel like your mixer will be different than that?
Um, my mixers are different than that because I mean, most of my events have a speed dating aspect of it so that you avoid that of like you go into a room, you see all these people and you're too scared to approach someone and then you never even
Mm-hmm.
talk to anyone on a like depth level. That's what
Yeah.
I know people say like speed dating is a bit exhausting, but you get to talk to everyone in the room, and even if it's for 3 or 5 minutes, you get a like not to say taste, but you get a sample of the person and who they are really, and at the end you have time to talk to them if you really hit it off or if you wanted to hear more about something or maybe you guys can network or something and you become friends and through that friendship you meet someone who you end up dating, because that's really how it was back then too, mutual friends. You meet someone, you get set up and y'all just really hit it off. um,
Mm-hmm.
but yeah, we do group icebreakers too, and I
Okay.
try to make them fun. I don't want to give away too much about my events. You'll have to attend
Yeah, you don't
one
have to.
to experience it,
Mm-hmm.
but yeah, you just gotta like keep the flow going because people, this is like pressure for people because they are shy and it's hard to do this because we are also so used to being on our phones to connect with someone on that type of level that even a
Mm-hmm.
simple hey how are you is like oh my god, why would I do that?
Yeah.
um so
Mm-hmm.
we try to get over those hurdles.
Yeah. And I like the speed dating aspect too. I think at first it's like scary, but if you're like just having fun with it, it forces you to have conversation, like you were saying. I was talking to a friend recently, and she's like, she feels that way when she's in the room, like wanting to stand to the back of the room and not being engaged. So when you do speed dating, it kind of forces you to be in that conversation.
Yep.
And I mean, in a way, it forces men to talk to you as well. So
Yes,
it's working in your favor.
absolutely. And even like someone you might not normally approach, well, you're going to be sitting in front of them and they might surprise you,
Mm-hmm.
because we also have our types and our biases. So we don't approach everyone. Someone who we think is approachable, we're going there. And that might be a very narrow margin. But with speed dating, it's like, all right, I'm talking to this person who I would never come across. And I really had a good talk with them. Wow. You know,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Or someone you're like, I could never approach that man ever
Yeah,
in my life. And now
exactly.
he's sitting in front of you. So you
Mm-hmm.
have the opportunity.
Mm-hmm. And same for the
So
guys.
yeah, I love that.
I can never approach Sonata on the street. I'm in front of her right now. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. I don't know how many men are saying that, but yeah, maybe that'll be incentive for getting people in there. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, cool. So I know you do different ones, like for just like there's no like preference, or there's Christian ones as well. So how do you do like the vetting process, maybe overall, and then how might it be different with Christian mixers?
Yeah, so for my general events, the vetting process isn't super rigid. I initially created the form just to make sure that the people who were interested in attending were like human and were who they say they are, and not like
Mm-hmm.
catfishing or something, because I feel like that's such a thing on
Mm-hmm.
dating apps, and I wanted to avoid that at my events. And there's a disclaimer at the top of the form where it's like, this is not for a hookup. Like, if you're looking for that, this ain't for you, and that's okay. There's
Mm-hmm.
already plenty of
Mm-hmm.
places for you to look for that, and we're here for making connections, whether it be platonically or romantically in real life. Yeah, so I just try to keep it within a balanced age range so that like a 21-year-old isn't meeting a 50-year-old, because that's not ideal.
Yes, that's
Um,
reason. Yeah, thank you for that.
yeah, so I try to keep that, keep the age range. Right now, my age range is around like 24 to 34-ish. Um,
Okay.
just because that's who I'm attracting right now. I would love to do something for the older crowd as my following grows and I'm able to like gather people from that group because I've had a little bit of
Mm-hmm.
interest already. But yeah, the form is questions like you have to link your social media. If you don't have social media, you can put like your LinkedIn or something that proves like this is who you are, this is how you look, whatever. We ask for your
Mm-hmm.
age, your gender, occupation, like if you're a student or working or whatever. And yeah, that's it. It's pretty simple. The only reason
Okay.
you wouldn't get invited is if you're out of our age range, really. Like, I've never come
Okay.
across someone who was like crazy looking because it's not like the form isn't super long, but it's not short. So if you're kind
Okay.
of kooky, it's probably gonna weed you out already.
You probably have a short attention span, so
Exactly. You're gonna see it, you gotta click a link and you're like, I don't want to do this. But if you do, you're
yeah.
gonna fill it
Okay.
out. But yeah, for the Christian
Mm-hmm.
event, like I said, it was a collaboration with three churches, one of the churches I attend, and I collaborated with the pastors on creating a forum to attract Christian people. And that forum was
Okay.
a little different, and the pastors helped me filter through people. But again,
Cool.
like we didn't attract anyone that wasn't like Christian and answering the questions. This event was for church members only, pretty much. We did share it to a couple
Okay.
of like larger Bible study groups in New York, but you have to link the
Mm-hmm.
church you attend, how often you attend, do you serve at your church, name and age. I think those were the main questions. And if
Okay.
you don't serve, like that's okay. But we don't want people that are like don't aren't committed to Christianity, if that makes sense, which is sometimes hard to
Yeah,
measure by like how often you go or if you serve.
for
But
sure. Yeah.
this is a forum and we're just trying to generally get the gist that you're committed. You're trying to go to a Christian event because you are a Christian, you're solid in that,
Right.
and you want to meet like minded individuals. And also,
Mm-hmm.
we say, like, how did you find out about this forum? And if it'll be like church newsletter or friend from my church, that's how we're keeping it in the network of Christians who we already know are good people who just want to meet other great people.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah, I love that. That just reminded me. I don't know if you would have to add this because I don't know. Most people may not do this, but we were doing the little icebreaker thing, and my friend asked this guy, what was on the page? I can't remember what it was, but he's like, "Oh, I'm here with my girlfriend," And it's like, why are y'all here?
I think we did have a question like that. But I mean, all my flyers.
You may not have to, but it's like, why would it says singles event on
No,
this.
but
so why are you and your girlfriend here?
I had a friend who went to an event in New Jersey where it was like a singles event, but people in relationships were there. And they had like a wristband situation where it was like red, yellow, green. I thought that was super weird because the title of the event was singles. So there shouldn't even be an option for someone dating.
Maybe we're swinging. I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know what you guys
like
are doing
an open relationship event. Say that because that will attract those people, you know. Because if I would have went to that, I would have been very like annoyed. Like, why did I just meet a guy who's married, you know, or who's?
And the funny thing was, he was one of the only black men there. So it's like, wow. Way to kill the vibe even more.
What did he even say about why he came?
I didn't ask.
You were like,
no one asked him. It's just like, get out of my face. Like,
yeah, that's super bizarre. The only people who were in relationships there were our helpers.
Okay.
Because we want to lead with people who are already in relationships. You can look to them like, that could be me.
Yeah. I love what you're doing. I really do.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So do you think there's anything else that you want to tell the people to look forward to? Or are we keeping it low key? What are you thinking?
I will be going on tour this fall with my events.
Okay.
We haven't selected all the cities yet. It's gonna be 3 or 4 cities.
Okay, we love a tour.
I'm not necessarily sure when the next Christian event will be. The partnership with the church definitely helped a lot. So that would probably be the next event I do. It would have to be a partnership with a couple churches because
that's a great idea too. I didn't even think about that.
You know all the single guys at your church. And you probably like either tried it or y'all don't vibe or whatever. But you don't know the guys at the other church. And same like the guys at your church don't know the girls at the other church. So when you throw that into play, it's great because you're just making friends. You might visit that church that you didn't even know about or heard about, but didn't get that push to attend because you already have a great church you attend. So when I travel for another Christian event, it would be like a similar partnership just to keep it even and simple with like who I'm attracting. But yeah, look out for the tour dates and follow us.
Yay. And where can they follow you?
You can follow me at We Met IRL on Instagram and TikTok.
Good stuff. All right, people, go do that right now. If you like, pause your whole life and go do that. Is there any words of wisdom you have for the singles?
I say, what words of wisdom do I say? I feel like
I just kind of sprang that on you.
You should be solid in what you're looking for, but don't be too rigid because you might miss out on a great connection because you have a list of 50 things and he doesn't match number 49. Or same with a guy, like he might have a long list for a woman and she doesn't do this, you know, and a relationship is about, compromise and coming together and growing together. And if they're already perfect, how are you going to grow together? You know, I'm not saying like find someone crazy, but nobody's perfect, not even yourself. So don't look for perfection, but look for someone who compliments you. I think that's big because even online, I see so many videos of like, he has to have this, and this. And same for the women. She has to have this, and this. And I'm not settling and all this and that. And don't like settle on things that are deal breakers for you. But I say evaluate your deal breakers and make sure that you're not being too rigid because of like getting down on yourself and the dating scene. Because it's really easy to get into this negative space of like, no one's good enough. And that's why I don't date and I have this huge guard up. Like, come with an open heart, but be aware at the same time, you know?
Yeah, that's really good. I agree with all of that. All right, guys. Well, as you know, you can follow the Parallel at the Parallel Pod on Instagram and on TikTok. Once again, thank you, Maxine, for coming on the podcast.
Of course. Thank you for having me.
All right, of course. And everybody, remember, don't forget to speak the truth in love and kiss the sun. Talk to you guys next week. Bye.